What if the absolute worst time to quit your job and pursue your side hustle full time is the exact moment it actually starts succeeding?
I mean, it sounds like a paradox, doesn't it? You get a taste of success, the market responds to your product, and like every instinct tells you to just go all in.
Right, absolutely.
But that initial surge of success is, well, it's often a mirage masking some really deep structural weaknesses.
And welcome to you, our resident learner, to today's deep dive.
Yeah.
We're tackling a massive decision that so many people are staring down right now in 2026.
Yeah, it's a very real situation for a lot of folks.
It really is.
Yeah.
We're looking at the mechanics of turning a side gig into a main gig. And let's be real about the environment we are operating in right now. We are dealing with, pretty aggressive living costs.
Oh, absolutely.
Traditional wages just aren't keeping pace.
Yeah.
And the allure of being your own boss and controlling your own time has honestly never been stronger. But making that leap, it's terrifying.
It should be terrifying, honestly. The failure rates for new businesses are just ruthless.
Yeah.
But the goal of our analysis today isn't to discourage you. It's to introduce a framework from our source material called the no regret decision.
I found this concept so fascinating because it kind of shifts the goalposts.
Yeah.
A no-regret decision doesn't mean guaranteeing the business will succeed because, you literally can't guarantee that.
Right. Impossible.
It means engineering your departure from your day job so methodically that even if the business eventually folds, you aren't left financially ruined or, kicking yourself for being reckless.
Exactly. You're actually glad you tried.
Right. You're glad you took the shot.
Precisely. And reaching that state requires answering two really brutal, fundamental questions about business viability and financial readiness before handing in a resignation letter.
Okay, let's unpack this, because before we look at your personal bank account, we have to look at the business itself. It is incredibly easy to confuse a deep hatred for your current boss with, genuine market demand for your side project.
Oh, happens all the time.
It's like thinking you can open a bakery just because your mom loves your cookies. You need actual market proof.
What's fascinating here is how often hope is substituted for data. Hope doesn't meet payroll.
It really doesn't.
Uh-huh.
So how do we distinguish between a lucky month of sales and actual staying power? If I have a stellar month, maybe some influencer mentions my product, or a holiday drives a spike, that feels like validation.
Sure, it feels great, but a spike is the most dangerous kind of trap because it provides false data. A lucky month makes you calculate your annualized revenue based on a total anomaly.
Wow, yeah, that makes sense.
To evaluate true strength, you have to look for actual performance metrics, consistent revenue.
Right.
The heartbeat of a sustainable business is recurring income. Are these one-off buyers, or do you have a growing cohort of repeat customers?
So we are looking for staying power, not just a flash in the pan,
Yeah.
but the source material draws a very specific line in the sand regarding revenue.
Yes, the 2/3 rule.
Right. The experts recommend not quitting until the side gig earns at least 2/3 of your full-time income. My initial reaction to this was, well, why not grind it out until it hits 100%? Why take a pay cut to make the leap?
It comes down to the mechanics of time and scale. If your side business is generating 100% of your full-time salary while you're also working 40 hours a week at your day job.
You're basically superhuman.
Right. You have either invented a miraculous passive income machine, or much more likely, you are severely burning out and working 90-hour weeks.
It just isn't sustainable.
Yeah.
Your quality drops, your health drops, everything suffers.
Exactly. The logic behind the 2/3 metric is that it proves serious, undeniable market demand, but it also indicates a very specific bottleneck.
A bottleneck in a good way, right?
Exactly. If you hit that 2/3 mark in growth plateaus, it strongly suggests the only variable preventing the business from scaling further is your lack of time. You've literally run out of hours.
That reframes it perfectly. It's like load testing a bridge. You don't drive a 10-ton truck over it on day one. You run a 6-ton truck across it.
I like that analogy.
And if the bridge holds perfectly, and the only reason you can't move more cargo is because you only have one truck, then you know the structure is sound. You've proven the mechanics work.
That's a great way to visualize it. If you are literally struggling to keep up with the gig turning away paying customers because you have a mandatory meeting at your day job, the market is practically begging you to scale.
But you can't just scale blindly.
No, absolutely not. The sources emphasize that hitting 2/3 revenue is useless if you don't intimately understand your cost structure.
Let's dig into that cost structure, because I think this is where a lot of first-time founders just get completely blindsided.
Oh, it's the #1 killer of early stage growth.
Right. So if I'm selling a physical product, let's say custom ceramics, my costs seem pretty linear. If I sell twice as many mugs, I just buy twice as much clay. It scales proportionally, doesn't it?
It seems like it would.
So why is cost structure such a massive hurdle in the source material?
Because costs are rarely as linear as they appear in the early days. Let's stick with your ceramics example. It's linear until it breaks.
Until it breaks.
Yeah, if you double your sales, you might suddenly exceed the physical capacity of your garage kiln. Now, to fulfill those new orders, you have to rent a commercial workspace and buy an industrial kiln.
Oh, wow. So my fixed costs just skyrocketed.
Yes, that is a step function increase in costs. That next incremental sale didn't just cost you the price of the clay, it triggered a massive structural expense.
Okay, that makes sense for physical goods. What about services?
It applies there too. If you are a freelance graphic designer, you have virtually zero cost of goods sold, right? But your capacity is capped by your own hours.
Right, there are only so many hours in the day.
So to double your revenue, once your schedule is full, you have to hire a junior designer. Now you have payroll taxes, software licenses, management overhead.
Ah, I see.
If you don't know your next 3 to 5 growth steps and exactly what it will cost to execute them, quitting your job to scale is just a shot in the dark.
Okay, so let's say the founder does this math. They've hit the two-thirds revenue mark. They have recurring customers. They know exactly how their costs will behave. The business engine is practically purring.
Sounds ideal.
It does. But the source material throws a massive wrench into this. It argues that a fundamentally brilliant, highly profitable business model can still utterly destroy the founder if their personal finances aren't insulated.
It absolutely can.
But how does that happen? If the business is throwing off cash, why does the founder's personal checking account matter so much?
Because business cash flow and personal cash flow operate on entirely different timelines, especially during a transition. When you finally quit your job to focus on the business full-time, there's almost always an operational lag.
Like a gap in momentum.
Exactly. You might need to spend the first 2 months rebuilding your website or setting up that new commercial workspace we just talked about, rather than directly servicing clients.
So the revenue might actually dip momentarily just as you make the leap.
Often it does. And if you are relying on that 2/3 side gig revenue to immediately pay your residential rent the very first month you are full-time, you are going to bleed the business dry.
Oh, man.
The ultimate risk, the exact scenario the no-regret decision framework is designed to prevent, is a founder starving a viable business of operational capital because they need to buy groceries.
Right, they run out of personal cash, panic, and are forced to abandon a winning business to go find another day job.
Precisely.
Yep.
Which brings us to the padding, the financial runway.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, but also a bit intimidating. The sources quote, financial planners who recommend saving 6 to 12 months of living expenses, rent, utilities, food, insurance, loan payments, plus an entirely separate cash cushion specifically for those early business costs.
It's tall order.
Doesn't waiting to save 12 months of living expenses plus business costs completely kill a founder's momentum?
I understand why it feels that way.
I mean, isn't entrepreneurship inherently about taking a reckless leap of faith? If you have an idea that's working right now, and you force yourself to wait 3 years to bank a 12-month cash runway, doesn't your market window just close?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the pop culture mythology of entrepreneurship loves that narrative. The reckless visionary who maxes out their credit cards and bets the farm.
Right. We hear those stories all the time.
But the data from the source material tells a totally different story. The most successful founders aren't gamblers. They are obsessive risk mitigators.
Risk mitigators. So
The reason that 6 to 12-month runway is so critical isn't just about paying the electric bill. It fundamentally alters your strategic decision-making.
how so? Walk me through the psychology of a founder with a 2-month runway versus a 12-month runway.
Okay, if you only have 2 months of personal savings, every single business decision you make is heavily distorted by desperation.
Because the clock is ticking so loudly.
Exactly. Let's say a difficult client demands a 40% discount, or they'll walk. Because you need cash today to make your mortgage payment next week, you say yes.
Oh, wow.
You devalue your brand, you take on miserable work, and you establish a precedent that you are cheap. You are operating from a posture of panic.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. The business strategy becomes entirely reactive to your personal household liabilities.
Exactly. But if you have 12 months of living expenses safely parked in the bank, you can negotiate from a position of absolute power. When that same client demands a 40% discount, you can calmly decline.
Because you know you have the financial breathing room to spend the next month finding a premium client who respects your pricing.
Right. Survival is a prerequisite to success. The cash cushion doesn't kill momentum. It is the very thing that enables strategic, disciplined momentum.
That is a brilliant way to frame it. The padding isn't just a safety net. It's a strategic weapon.
Mhm.
Now, the sources do acknowledge that stockpiling a year of cash isn't strictly necessary if you have other lifelines.
True. They mention temporary help from family, personal loans, or early-stage financing.
But the material treats these options with a heavy dose of caution. Right?
As it should. Bringing outside capital into a side hustle, transitioning to a main gig, introduces a completely new pressure dynamic. If you borrow money from family or take out a high-interest personal loan, you must have a strictly defined plan.
Not just leaving things to chance.
Right. If you use loan money just to buy yourself time while you figure things out, that side hustle will rapidly transform into a financial anchor that drags you under.
So if someone is listening to this and they've run their metrics and the business isn't quite at the two-thirds mark, or maybe you look at their savings and they've only got 3 months banked, does that mean the dream is shelved?
Not at all.
Do they just resign themselves to the cubicle for another 2 years?
No, and this is where the source material provides some incredibly actionable alternatives. The problem is that we tend to view quitting a job as a binary event.
All or nothing.
Exactly. It's the dramatic movie scene where you slam your laptop shut, tell your boss you're done, and walk out. But it doesn't have to be like that. You can engineer an in-between stage.
Breaking the binary, the hybrid options.
Mhm.
I found this part of the research to be the most practical advice in the entire stack.
It really bridges the gap between dream and reality.
It's like keeping the training wheels on just a little longer so you can pedal faster without wiping out.
That's a perfect analogy.
So let's talk about negotiating a flex schedule or a reduction in your day job first. What does this all mean for the day-to-day sanity of someone trying to juggle both?
This raises an important question about leverage. If your employer is open to it, transitioning from a 5-day work week to a 4-day schedule or shifting to a strictly part-time role is a game changer.
Because you're creating breathing room.
Exactly. You are taking a partial pay cut in exchange for dedicated, focused time to scale the business.
You gain a full 20% of your work week back, but you maintain 80% of your financial stability. And depending on the company's policies, you might still retain your health benefits, which is a massive liability removed from your early business costs.
It allows you to run a live fire simulation of your business scaling plan without the existential threat of bankruptcy. You are shifting your weight from one leg to the other slowly.
Allowing the business to naturally absorb the increased attention and grow into that final missing third of revenue.
Right. It's a much safer way to scale.
That makes sense for people whose jobs offer flexibility. But the sources highlight a reverse approach to this hybrid model that genuinely blew my mind.
Oh, the outsourcing strategy.
It felt completely counterintuitive to everything we hear about bootstrapping. Instead of negotiating less time at your day job, you keep your full-time job exactly as it is.
Right.
But you use your steady W-2 salary to aggressively outsource the small daily operations of your side gig to free up your limited time.
This is a masterclass in capital allocation, but it requires a mental leap. As a founder, you have to start viewing yourself as an angel investor in your own company.
Walk me through that, because the standard advice is always to reinvest the side hustle's own profits back into the side hustle.
True.
Taking money from my primary salary to pay a freelancer for my side gig feels like I'm subsidizing a failing hobby.
It feels wrong because we are conditioned to separate our income streams mentally, but think about the core bottleneck we identified earlier, your time.
Right.
If you work 40 hours at your day job and you grind out 20 hours on your side gig, you will hit a physical wall. But what are you actually doing during those 20 side gig hours?
Usually. Responding to emails, doing admin work.
Exactly. Are you spending 10 of those hours doing tedious bookkeeping, formatting social media posts, handling basic customer service?
Probably, yeah. The administrative grunt work.
Those are low-value tasks. They are necessary for the business to function, but they do not drive growth. If you take a portion of your day job salary and hire a virtual assistant or a freelance specialist to handle those 10 hours of admin work, you have just bought back your own time.
You're using your high-paying primary job to fund the payroll of your startup.
Yes, and now the 10 hours you do spend on your side gig are dedicated exclusively to high-value tasks. You are doing the sales calls, you are developing new product lines, you are building strategic partnerships.
Wow, yeah.
You are doing the things that will actually push the revenue past that two-thirds threshold. You bridge the gap by using your current stability as leverage without taking reckless risks.
It's like you're paying to remove the friction.
Eh.
And I imagine the psychological benefits of these hybrid approaches are just enormous.
Oh, they are. Operating under extreme stress leads to terrible business decisions, as we talked about.
Right. If you know your rent is covered by your day job, or you know you aren't going to have to stay up until 3 a.m. answering customer emails because you hired a VA, you can actually think clearly about your company's long-term strategy.
The difference is profound. A full-time leap with no safety net feels like fighting a wild forest fire.
Yeah.
Every day is about sheer survival.
And the hybrid approach?
The hybrid approach is a controlled burn. It still requires intense work and discipline. I mean, there's no escaping the hustle phase, but it provides a contained environment where you can safely test the limits of your business model.
This has been an incredibly clarifying framework. If you're listening to this and you've got that resignation letter sitting in your drafts folder, hovering over the send button, it might be time to run this diagnostic first.
Absolutely.
We've mapped out the journey to achieving a true no-regret decision. It starts with brutally testing your business metrics. You have to evaluate the recurring nature of your revenue, ensure you've hit that two-thirds income rule to prove actual market demand, and have absolute clarity on how your cost structure will behave as you scale.
And equally important, you must secure your personal financial runway. Building that 6 to 12-month cash cushion isn't about being overly conservative. It's about giving yourself the strategic power to say no to bad deals and weather the inevitable operational lags.
And finally, realizing that quitting doesn't have to be a binary jump off a cliff.
Right.
Utilizing hybrid models, whether that means negotiating a 4-day work week to buy back your time or operating as an angel investor in your own gig by using your primary salary to outsource the administrative drag.
And as we wrap up our analysis of these strategies, it is crucial that we explicitly state the required disclaimer for this topic.
Of course.
This deep dive is for informational purposes only and does not constitute financial or legal advice. Investing in any business involves risk, including the loss of principal, and you should always consult a qualified financial advisor or professional regarding your individual circumstances before making major career or financial transitions.
Absolutely essential to keep in mind as you map out your own strategy. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive today.
It's been great.
But before you go, I want to leave you with one final, unexplored question to ponder on your own. Throughout this entire conversation, we focused heavily on the financial and structural readiness required to quit your job. We've talked metrics, cost structures, and cash runways.
The mechanics of it all.
Right. But what happens to your emotional passion for the side gig when it suddenly has to pay your rent? When the project you started out a pure joy becomes the singular engine keeping a roof over your head, does the joy of the hustle survive the crushing pressure of necessity?
That's the real question.
It's a completely different kind of stress test. Think about it. We'll catch you next time.